Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing another 545 ballistic gel test. Today we're going to be using the 55 grain Wolf hollow points, and we're going to be testing it out of the Riley Defense AK-74. This one's built off a Bulgarian parts kit. It's got a 16-inch barrel, and then we are going to be using some Bulgarian, not Circle 10, but Bulgarian mags. And then we have a primary arm Cyclop 1X prism sight up here on a Midwest Industries mount. And what we're going to go ahead and do is do some velocity testing with this real quick, just to see what sort of velocity we're dealing with in our current atmospheric conditions. And then we're going to shoot it into some ballistic gel to see how this thing performs. Now, I'm going to be doing a lot more 545 ammo tests to see if indeed 545 is the master race. Link to these shirts down below, and more on that later. But enough talking. Let's go ahead and get some data. 2860, 2891, 2878, 2866, 2835. So in order to make sure the round goes into safe direction into a berm, I'm going to have to shoot it from a seated position, but let's go ahead and see what happens. All right, let's go see. Okay, so this is what the gel block looked like when we walked up here. Looks like 545 is really tearing this thing apart. So everything stayed within this gel block, which I find particularly interesting. Everything you see back here was from a cartridge we just tested, which was the Red Army standard 59 grain full metal jacket. But here we have the 55 grain hollow point here. So we have an overall depth of right around 10.5 inches. And it looks like immediately upon entering the block here, it starts opening up and starts creating a fairly significant permanent wound cavity, whereas we had about 5 inches over here, but reference that video if you want to know more. The main part of the permanent wound cavity is about 6 inches long, 6.5 inches, somewhere in there. We have a width of about 2 inches and a height of about 3 inches. And I can tell just by looking at this thing from the side, we have some pretty significant fragmentation going on, and then the jacket that's left here is pretty shredded. Because of the size of this, what I'm going to go ahead and do is see if I can't put another round over here and see if we can't repeat these same results, or if we get something different. You know, more data is always good. So I'm going to go ahead and reset. Hopefully the table doesn't completely break apart as it takes this 545 punishment, but we'll go ahead and see what happens with another round. Let's see what happens with round number 2. Okay. All right, so we have a slightly different result here, largely the same, but slightly different. So you may be able to tell just from looking that this thing actually penetrated all the way through this first block, which is about 12.5 inches, and made it about 2.5 inches to the furthest part of the jacket here on our second block. It's right where the tip of my finger is there. I'll show you guys pictures so you can get a better idea here. This one started opening up even faster to the size of the permanent wound cavity, which all in all is about 10 inches long. Biggest part being again about 7 inches as before. We have about 2.5 inches, and I have to measure from this side. And it again to about 2.5, 3 inches here for our permanent wound cavity. And again, it looks like just seeing the light through this. Lead fragmentation all throughout this permanent wound cavity, and just shreds of jacket here on the other side. Once I pull it out, I'll take pictures so you guys can see what that jacket looks like. And we are just punishing this table. That temporary wound cavity is just beating the heck out of this thing. I'm gonna have to buy a new table now. So overall, I'm pretty impressed by the performance of this. It's not the biggest wound channel that I've gotten so far in my 545 testing. Again, you can watch the video I did on the Red Army Standard 59 grain full metal jacket that's imported from the Vimple factory. It's basically the Golden Tiger, same exact thing, just different importer. But pretty consistent. Seems to open up a lot faster, which is good. The good consistent wound channel every time. So definitely let me know what you guys think about how this has performed against other ammunition you've seen. And if you have seen the other tests that I've done, let me know how you think this stacks up in comparison to the ones that you've already seen, and maybe how it's compared to some of the other cartridges you've seen tested. If there's other cartridges you want to see me test, definitely let me know. I'm going to be doing some of the Hornady SSTs here very soon. But again, so far this is only the second one. I'm definitely anxious to see how these things stack up against each other, because it's supposed to be the poison bullet, and I want to see if there's any validity to that. So if you want to know more about this rifle, I have a dedicated review on it. I'm going to be doing a review of this optic here soon. This is really my first chance getting to shoot this thing on an AK, so I'm going to be doing that a little bit more before I do my final review on it. Again, if you want one of these shirts, this was just a sample one I printed up. The current ones have white text and a white outline for the magazine, so it's going to be a little bit easier to see, a little bit more contrast, and again, links are going to be below, if not directly below this video if you're watching this thing on YouTube. I want to give a big shout out to my patrons. They are the ones who make videos like this possible. I wouldn't be able to buy the ammo or be able to put together these gel blocks if it wasn't for them, and I'm going to have to now buy a new table, so patron money is going to be going directly to that, so I can keep having something to test this gel on. That table's been through a lot. I'm impressed that it's lasted this long, but 545 really, I've tested 300 blackout through that thing quite a bit, but 545 is what really did it in, so I'm anxious to see what the slow-mo looks like. Speaking of more data, I'm going to be doing a more in-depth analysis of this round on AKFiles. I'm going to show pictures of the overall length, what the powder they're using looks like, and a little bit more of that nitty-gritty data. So if you're interested in that, there should be a link below to the AKFiles thread that I'm going to start about this round. So if that kind of stuff interests you, again, measurements of the bullet and all that, definitely check that out. And again, I should have, if I don't include it in this video, I'll definitely include weight retention of the complete projectile versus what we're able to pull out of that block. So that, again, if that interests you, definitely check out the link and contribute down over there. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or again, recommendations, definitely leave those in the comment section down below. I'm trying to get back to you as quick as I can. But anyway, with all that said, as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.